Good Monday morning, everyone. Welcome back. You're watching the Kaiser Report. I'm John. I'm here to talk to you today about a few things going on in and around our nation and somewhat around the world. Not to be confused with world news here, but there are some happenings around that we're involved in right now and continuing to worsen in some situations. But we'll start with what's going on here in our nation, our divided nation when it comes to politics, with the Democratic side of the aisle fighting out and lashing out against everything, including automobile dealerships and the like, with this protest against Elon Musk for finding out exactly what's going on with our tax dollars and fixing some fraud, and in some cases, finding accountability for different agencies that we have in and around our government-related wastes of money and misallocation of money, such as NIH, which has 72 different IT platforms, none of which talk to each other, and all of which cost us a tremendous amount of money to maintain and get nothing for it in most cases. And then we look at our mainstream media that's out there with hypocrisy that never ends, and it's unbelievable. You look at the lies that come out of Morning Jerk there. He was on this morning talking about one more time about this this nonsense that he's come up with today about Pete Hegseth having his wife accompany him and has been in a couple of different meetings with him, like Joe Scarborough knows anything about anything. He's devoid of the correct information, so he makes it up as he goes. And he, above everyone else that's in this corrupted media propaganda machine that we have for the Democrats, sits next to his wife every day, who's a dyed-in-the-wool communist from a communist family, and that's okay. But it's Pete Hegseth that cannot travel with his wife or have his wife attend any meetings with him. This is what they spoke about this morning. This is what his big moment was this morning, while that scarecrow Al Sharpton sat there going through the whole thing. Nothing to add, nothing to say, and why he's there other than, well, I don't know why he's there. He certainly brings no information to you worth listening to. The man is a liar, but that platform there at MSNBC is full of liars and propagandists that want to make you believe something that you hear but you didn't hear. It's craziness. But take a look here.
Well, Americans know an intel failure or an intel blunder when they see it. And even this sort of strong, no retreat, no surrender approach, it appears to be running up against an immovable object. And polls showing that even 60% of Republicans are saying this is a big deal.
Yeah, look, there's a basic rule of politics that usually is true. Don't treat everybody like they're stupid and like they're complete morons out there.
It's time to build back better.
But our focus is on solutions. This past week, we opened, I should say, several facilities that will provide almost 7,000 beds so that we can move these children from the Border Patrol facilities into shelters. We've also taken steps to expedite processing at the border. The border remains closed. It is not open. We are turning away the majority of adults.
The border remains closed. It is not open. We are turning away the majority of adults.
I don't think you believe that.
We're taking a look at the record number of migrants that have arrived in the country over the last 4 years.
There's new information about how they compare to the migrant surge of the 1800s, and then the staggering number of those considered criminals by the government.
They are portraits of the immigration boom in America, the late 1800s drawing in millions of Europeans to the United States, setting records not broken until now. The New York Times digging into the numbers, finding the recent immigration surge has now been the largest in U.S. history, with 8 million arriving just since President Joe Biden took office.
It's sick.
Representing an increase of 0.6% of the total population, a jump not seen since the 1850s.
The border remains closed. It is not open. We are turning away the majority of adults.
Yeah, look, there's a basic rule of politics that usually is true. Don't treat everybody like they're stupid and like they're complete morons out there.
If you want to flee and you're fleeing oppression, you should come.
Oh, gosh. Oh, gosh.
So, hypocrisy is alive and well in mainstream media, as we full well know now. And it's also alive and well, hypocrisy, that is, inside our Congress, especially on the Democratic side of the aisle, where you have people like Schiff trying to act holier than thou when he's questioning people about this this big story that is not a story about the Signal chat that he continues to want to pump people and try to fool people into answering the question in a wrong fashion so he can start another program of lies, deceit, and hatred against a sitting administration. This guy is the guy that pushed impeachment programs through in the last Trump presidency, which had no bearing and no backing, and it was all based on a fake dossier that was provided to him where he had all kinds of evidence to bring forward, which he never did because he had none other than what Hillary and her organization supplied him and hung him out to be the bad guy on it. And why he's still sitting, why has he now been promoted to a Senate seat out of Congress where he's screwed up? What is wrong with the voting population of California? You have to ask yourself this. You have to ask yourself why Newsom is out there with a complete change right now of what his thinking process is, and a flip-flop on everything that he stood for as a failed governor of the state of California. And people are leaving California in droves. We all know that now. And they're bringing their lousy voting prowess to red states now out of a blue state and trying to flip what's going to happen in the next election, or worse yet, what they think they're going to accomplish in the midterms with their poor choices in voting for legislators that may or may not have any idea of how to legislate in the grand scheme of things. So let's just look a little bit about the hypocrisy in our Congress. Take a look here.
We've seen this movie before. You have led investigations into this movie we've seen. And when he said, I think we're going to win, and if we don't win, it depends. It always depends on the fairness of an election. He said that in response to a question about the potential for political violence.
Yeah. Which is a hallmark of fascist and authoritarian political parties. But look, now none of the Republicans will commit to stand by the results of the 2024 election. They won't even stand by the results of the 2020 election when 60 different federal and state court decisions rejected every claim of election fraud and corruption that Donald Trump brought forward. And still they're saying it was a stolen election. There is zero evidence of that. You cannot make a remotely plausible case for it. So they're living in an alternate reality, and that's how authoritarianism works.
Oh, that's rich, coming from this guy who...
For what purpose? For what purpose is member right?
I have an objection because 10 of the 29 electoral votes cast by Florida were cast by electors not lawfully certified.
Wow.
Because they violated Florida's prohibition against dual office holding.
Debate is out of order. Section 15 and 17 of the Title III of the United States Code require that any objection be presented in writing, signed by both members of the House of both a member of the House of Representatives and a senator. Is the objection in writing and signed not only by the member of the House of Representatives but also by a senator?
It is in writing, Mr. President.
Is it signed by a senator?
Not as of yet, Mr. President.
In that case, the objection cannot be entertained.
What you just witnessed is this guy Jamie Raskin claiming Trump's 2016 election victory was not valid.
And now we've got politicians who will not even abide by a certifiably legal election outcome. I have an objection because 10 of the 29 electoral votes cast by Florida were cast by electors not lawfully certified. So they're living in an alternate reality, and that's how authoritarianism works.
All these people make me sick.
It's interesting at best on how they can get away with some of the things they say and do in congressional seats, whether it's the Senate or whether it is the House of Representatives. We have a Democratic Party that sits in both cases and makes no sense because they do not have a plan. They have no regimented idea of how to implement a plan, which they are devoid of, and they still think that by causing a division in this country and hatred among not only races but against individuals like Elon Musk, where he is doing a job for us that we've asked him to do, and find the waste, the fraud, and the nonsense that's gone on with our tax dollars for not only failed ideologies, but things that do not benefit the United States or anyone in it overseas, to programs and ideologies that are a misfit. It's the land of misfit toys when you think about where the money has been spent and what's been uncovered. So their idea to stop this is to rail against the person that has held the feet to the fire and asked, where did this money go? It's not only congressional allocated money for programs that may have received $1 out of 10,000, and while the rest went to management of NGO companies that we have no business in propping up and supporting, especially when they're not on American soil. They're in countries like Africa and countries that we've never heard of that are benefiting from your tax dollars. And it's being uncovered now, and the left side is fighting tooth and nail against you knowing these things. So they will come up through their propaganda arm of mainstream media and try to make you believe that what Doge is doing is wrong, but what we did in the past is not wrong. It's Doge that's uncovering this that you need to be wary of. So let's promote going out and burning someone's dealership that's trying to make a living selling an automobile, which has nothing to do with the misappropriation of yours and my funding that we give in the way of tax dollars. And every payroll, you're putting money into a wasteful government. And now that we have been had a look-see inside the magic ball that is Congress, we're not asking the questions that we should be asking, such as why Mitch McConnell is worth $91 million or $1 billion. I don't even know. The amount is astronomical when you consider that he has a salary of $190,000 a year. Where did he amass that kind of money? Where does AOC amass the kind of money that she has? And you just go on and on and on through Congress. Both sides of the aisle are enriching themselves. How? Why don't we have hearings looking into that? Why do we have hearings where Adam Schiff can be asking questions about a chat program that was put into place by the Biden administration and widely utilized among all government employees? Why is that being questioned by Adam Schiff and the like? Why aren't we questioning where they got their millions from on their salaries that are paid for by us? Why are we not asking those questions? And why is mainstream media covering up with abandon the misuse of our tax dollars? And why is it always the news about Elon Musk and about how bad Donald Trump is and how bad his cabinet is, while we allow the congressional seats to enrich themselves? Let's just look at the money that Pelosi has packed away as a result of insider trading. Why don't we have hearings on that? Why do we not have hearings on government officials that have benefited from all of this waste, fraud, and misappropriation of American tax dollars? Why? Why? No one wants to ask that question. Mainstream media is devoid of any questions of that type because they're not allowed to. When the Democrats give them their talking points, that's what they adhere to. And the cover-up is part and parcel to the propaganda arm of the DNC, which is MSNBC, NBC, ABC, CBS, and CNN. And in some cases, Fox News is just as guilty in what they report on as opposed to what should be being reported on. Not to say that all of Fox News is bad, but they have their individuals that carry the wrong banner, so to speak. So let's just take a walk back in history and let's look at the first Trump administration where it was decided that we need to build the wall. The Democratic side of the aisle fought very hard against it and then said that there's no way the wall would work and that the border was completely secure. Well, they pushed out a bill that after saying that the wall was too expensive at I think it was like $48 billion that they were looking for the wall. So they came up with a bill. Now, mind you, the Democrats were in charge of the legislative branch at the time. And then a bill gets passed for $61 billion, but not for the wall. Very little of that, if any, went to the wall. But the Ukraine benefited from it. So they pushed through, because the wall was too expensive, they pushed through $61 billion to go to the Ukraine to support the war effort there, and ended up, when looked into, that a lot of this $61 billion went to pay off Ukrainian worker pensions, open up small businesses in the Ukraine, and so on and so on. But no investigations on that. That went through. And then, of course, Biden was telling everyone that the border was secure. Mayorkas said the border was secure. We don't need a wall, but we need to help these poor Ukrainian people out while we have veterans living in the streets, in some cases tents, in some cases completely homeless with no place. They're sleeping on sidewalks. But $61 billion got sent to the Ukraine with no accountability, by the way, none. has never been accounted for. So we have that going on. Even Kaiser reacted to that one. But that was our Congress at its finest. And talk about hypocrisy. Take a look here.
The president wants money for a border wall, and the Democrats don't want to give it to him. Shortly after being reelected as House Speaker, Nancy Pelosi drove home that point for at least the third time in 2 days.
President Trump, you will not get your wall.
Another federal judge issuing another preliminary injunction, this one blocking the president's plans to build sections of a border wall with money the president tried to get by declaring a national emergency.
Demanding the American taxpayer pony up for an expensive and ineffective border wall.
But let's say that's the number you accepted. What else could you get if the president were focused somewhere other than on this campaign promise? Well, with $5.7 billion, we could afford to give all 3.2 million public school teachers in America a $1,700 a year raise. Add $100 to what the president $100 million to what the president wants to spend on the border wall, and the government could pay an extra month of supplemental nutrition assistance programs, SNAP benefits, known as food stamps, to more than 40 million Americans who are food insecure, okay? Richest country in the world, and 40 million Americans do not entirely know where their next day's meal are coming from.
A short time ago, the House of Representatives passed a crucial aid bill for Ukraine, $61 billion in all, including $23 billion to replenish weapons the U.S. has supplied to Ukraine.
Wait a minute.
$9 billion in economic assistance.
What does that mean?
Let me show you.
American taxpayers are financing more than just weapons. We discovered the US government's buying seeds and fertilizer for Ukrainian farmers and covering the salaries of Ukraine's first responders, all 57,000 of them.
But wait! There's more! Hang on to your seat, baby, because this one's a screamer!
Russia's invasion shrank Ukraine's economy by about a third. We were surprised to find that to keep it afloat, the US government is subsidizing small businesses.
Super.
Like Tatiana Abramova's knitwear company.
These are Ukrainian towns. Yeah, that's Kiev, I recognize.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is bullshit!
It's really a tragedy that it has taken this long, but I'm so glad, I won't say glad, but at long last, it has happened.
That's Bidenomics in action.
So, there it is in a nutshell. There's where tax dollars are wasted, and now we're finding out even more and more, and it's all Elon Musk's fault that they're being uncovered, and their waste and mismanagement of your tax dollars are not being questioned by anyone. We're just trying to clean up the mess, and yet they are railing against it. Why? Because the Democratic Party has no foundation. They have no leadership now, and they have been uncovered, and the look behind the curtain has not been a pleasant one by any stretch of the means for any of these people involved in the mismanagement of your tax dollars. And now the light has been shown on some of these areas where We have elected officials at fault here, and they don't want you looking at it. They don't want you knowing about it. Why? Because it will reflect on them and their abilities to do the job that their states elected them into Congress to accomplish. But they have failed. The Democratic Party has failed miserably. They can send Beto O'Rourke and Crazy Tim Walz out there to do rally after rally, but they just accomplish one thing, and they do that well. They make complete asses out of themselves every time they open their mouth. And this is not helping the benefiting the Democratic Party in the next election or the midterm elections that they think they have already sewn up. If you listen to them, they'll tell you that the mistake was made by you and I because we voted wrong. And if they had more time, they could have lied better to us and gotten into the situations that they needed to be into. But they didn't do a good job. They refused to do a good job because they're worried more about their longevity and their reelection bids for the seats and cushions that they have on the gravy train being disrupted. And that's what it's all about, folks. And the propaganda arm of mainstream media and legacy media is just that. It's a prop-up arm to make you believe that this administration is bad, the other administration was perfect, and we should put Joe Biden on Mount Rushmore and the like of that. And that comes directly from crazy Nancy Pelosi. And if you don't believe that she's a few cards short of a deck here, take a look here, a historical view at what Nancy Pelosi tried to pull off when she was in charge of the gavel. And, well, watch.
Crazy Nancy Pelosi. She's crazy as a bedbug.
She mentioned his many accomplishments, including his forceful leadership of the NATO summit with other Western heads of state.
So he was in a good place to make whatever decision, the top of his game. Such a consequential president of the United States, a Mount Rushmore kind of president of the United States.
What?
Such a consequential president of the United States, a Mount Rushmore kind of president of the United States.
Get professional help.
That he belongs up there on Mount Rushmore. Lincoln and Joe Biden.
But you got Teddy Roosevelt up there, and he's wonderful. I don't say take him down, but you can add Biden.
And now a short summary of the United States of America under Biden's leadership.
Watch me.
Feeling the squeeze as inflation in the U.S. reaches a new 40-year high.
Data from the Labor Department shows consumer prices rose 9.1% from a year ago, the fastest pace since 1981.
This morning, it's the news drivers nationwide have been dreading. The average price for a gallon of gas has now hit $5, according to AAA, the most expensive in history.
It's totally insane.
The challenge that we have as an administration is we got to let people know who brung it to them. That's our challenge.
Do have a lot of news to get to this morning, starting with that chaos following the horrific attack outside the Kabul airport. This is now the deadliest attack on U.S. forces in Afghanistan in more than a decade.
To the 13 American service members killed, another 18 were injured. Tonight, they are in the process of being evacuated from the country on C-17 aircraft with special surgical units.
Staggering new record, more migrants crossed into the U.S. on Monday than any other day in history. And now Texas is being sued after giving state law enforcement sweeping new powers to arrest them.
Today, 3 U.S. soldiers were killed in Jordan when a drone packed with explosives struck a shelter where troops were sleeping. More than 30 U.S. troops were also wounded, according to 2 U.S. officials, including several who were medevaced out because of the severity of their injuries.
For the first time in history, the U.S. national debt just surpassed $35 trillion.
The bipartisan Peter G. Peterson Foundation says the U.S. pays about $2 billion a day in interest payments.
Our message to everybody struggling right now is this: help is on the way.
I really love Venn diagrams. You know, the circles, right?
All right, you know that sound. It is time to talk a little bit about consumer news. Tough news for people hoping to buy a house. The cost has hit a record high. The National Association of Realtors says today the median cost of a home in the U.S., $419,000. Mortgage rates are also relatively high, and economists don't think the rate will fall below 6% anytime soon.
And Americans are taking on more debt, $17.5 trillion overall. 1.13 trillion of that is a record amount, and it's on credit cards.
3 out of 5 parents are increasingly paying their adult children's bills with their own retirement savings.
That's Bidenomics.
As car payments become more expensive than ever, tonight 1 in 6 buyers who finance new are paying more than $1,000 a month. The staggering price to sit behind the wheel, rivaling the cost of putting a roof over your head.
Biden-Harris administration, masterclass in terms of performance.
And a new report from the Federal Reserve Bank of New York finds people of all ages are in more debt than ever, and 30-year-olds are experiencing the biggest leap in years. The average millennial now carrying an average credit card balance of $6,750 as they put more of their everyday expenses on credit cards.
Wait! There's more!
All right, back to our breaking news right now. We are looking at what's taking place down in Wall Street. The Dow Jones is down about 1,010 points. It's about 2.5%. We've been watching this all morning. The plummet is fueling fears of recession amid a global market meltdown. Tech stocks are driving this nosedive, I should say, as investors are selling off all of those equities, as well as crypto and oil stocks, also contributing to the drop. Friday's disappointing jobs report and an unchanged Fed interest rate.
Such a consequential president of the United States, a Mount Rushmore kind of president of the United States.
Making sure that we're able to make every single solitary person eligible for what I've been able to do with the COVID. With dealing with everything we have to do with. Look, if we finally beat Medicare.
President Trump?
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either.
So, waste in government runs wild while the mainstream media forgot to tell you what really happened. But now it's all Trump is bad, Elon is bad, and the Trump derangement syndrome is alive and well. And now Elon Musk derangement syndrome is let's destroy his company and we'll show him. We'll send people out to mess with his company and we'll teach him a lesson. This is what the Democrats spend their time orchestrating to make you believe that something is totally not what you see. It's what they're going to tell you it is. This is the Democratic way, and we have some help on the right side of the aisle going along with them. And watch out for these up-and-coming people that are vying for the head of the new Democratic Party, such as Jasmine Crockett, Hakeem Jeffries, who is a real POS in my estimation, and nothing but a troublemaker and a person that is inciting people to do the wrong thing. And so is this Crockett woman. So is AOC. If that's the best they come up with, and Tim Walz and Beto O'Rourke, then we are in some serious trouble if you're a Democrat for making a decision come midterm elections or 2028, which you do not have a party that has congealed into any form of having a plan or a platform to run on other than we hate Donald Trump. We hate Elon Musk. We hate everything that is going on right now, and we are going to riot, and we are going to promote university bad behavior such as what's going on right up to this weekend at Columbia University with Palestinian protests continuing, where even the interim president that replaced the last president that resigned in disgrace is now resigned herself. And now we have a new Columbia University president that will maybe, because of the loss of funding, decide to do something about radical professors that are making the waves and backing what's going on in this bad behavior of Palestinian protest on a university campus, which is practicing it's practicing bad behavior. And it starts with the professors, and it ends with these people that are not even students there, that are being brought in. And if you think for a minute that they're not paid protesters, you have another thing coming. Look at the signage. Look at the outfits that they wear. Somebody has correlated all of this, and someone has organized all of this. We have one of the organizers that has been picked up, and they're trying to get him released, and the Democrats are behind it. Make no mistake about it. This guy that was arrested was a protest organizer that was not, he may have been living in student housing and registered under a student visa, but he was long past the date that he was taking classes there or fooling our government, and he should be deported. And all of these people, if you love Palestine that much, go live there. Go see how much of your ideology will be accepted there, especially the gays for Palestine. See what the reaction is there. If you're not killed, you'll be deported out of there quicker than you can shake a stick at. So there you have it in a nutshell. Now, for the other side of the world that's going on that is causing us to be involved in negotiations to put an end or a ceasefire to what's going on in, well, there's two areas, but let's talk about the Putin-Zelensky match that is now undergoing a break of the ceasefire as a result of Zelensky trying to back out of a deal that he's already agreed to. But I expected that because you cannot trust Zelensky as far as you can throw him. And now he's insisting that they be part of NATO, which, if you realize historically, is the reason that the invasion happened in the first place. Because after World War II, we signed a treaty, or we were part of that treaty that was signed with the proviso that we will never go any further east with the NATO program. And they have stepped on that proviso on several occasions. And this last occasion with Zelensky insisting on NATO bring in all their weaponry and put arms on the border has triggered this. And now he's gone right back to it. He's afraid of having an election. He's afraid of a ceasefire because there's no necessity for a Vladimir Zelensky any longer if they have an election, because he will not be reelected. I assure you of that, and he knows it, and he doesn't want to stop to this war. He doesn't want a ceasefire, and it's as plain as the nose on your face. And now he's asking for more help. He's over in France trying to convince a weak French government to put troops in there and nuclear weapons on the border, which will not bode well for the world if that happens. It will trigger World War III. And he doesn't care. He's lined his pockets, and it's in some foreign bank somewhere, and he'll disappear in exile and live a very good life while he will destroy everybody from 18 years old up in his country will be wiped out, as long with all the cities with the beautiful architecture that's already been destroyed. You hear this, you know this, but you won't hear anything but crickets out of mainstream media, the propaganda arm of Zelensky and the Democratic government of the United States. That brings us to the Israel ceasefire with Hamas that fell apart, because you cannot trust Hamas either. They are liars, cheats, and will not give up fighting as long as we don't take care of every bit of their leaderships and get, not us, but Israel will. And I don't fault Israel on this. I believe that it can come to an end and a peaceful negotiation if Hamas will sit at a table. They don't show up. They send an emissary to talk to Rubio and these people that are trying very hard. They're doing a wonderful job, by the way, this particular cabinet of this administration, and let's give them an opportunity to finish this up as we go along. Anyway, there's your news for today. And if you had an opportunity to listen, I guess yesterday or this morning, to the two astronauts that were brought back by SpaceX were interviewed this morning. I believe it was on Fox News. So you can find it here on this platform, or just look up under Fox News and listen to that. They'll tell you what was really going on, and that's an interesting thing right there. Does Elon Musk get any credit for what he has done for this world? None. They just want to burn his cars, which is not hurting him. It's hurting the people making a living at Tesla. It does not hurt Elon Musk. It hurts him to know that your people, or some people, are out there saying nasty things about him. And you can see it in his face. If you watch the Brett Baer interview with him, he's truly hurt, almost to tears, because he doesn't understand he's done nothing but good things in this world. And the hatred toward him right now is being whipped up and driven, and in some cases, by our own congressional seats, with big mouths that know nothing about his companies, or his accomplishments. And with that, that's our Monday Kaiser Report. We'll be back here to see you tomorrow, Tuesday. And Kaiser and I will always say, be safe, be strong, and stay tuned to the Kaiser Report. Share it with your friends, and we love you here. So bye-bye. Have a great rest of this Monday.